The Studio Series 86 line has done a pretty good job so far of giving us characters from the 80s animated movie. With some notable exceptions, no Cyclonus. There was a Cyclonus released in the War for Cybertron line, and a redeco for the Generation Selects with toy-based colouring and his Target Master buddy Nightstick.
Remember, we belong to him. I belong to nobody.
Same thing with Hound, for instance, who can be seen briefly in the movie, and Sunstreaker. No Studio Series 86 versions of these, but they have been released in lines running concurrently, so I, like a lot of others, have picked those up. We want these characters in 86, but they're spread across various lines, and the story of collecting Studio Series 86 has required a fair amount of clairvoyance so far. Should you hold off buying Legacy Galvatron in case his later release in 86? Turns out yes, you should, because here he is, more accurate but less interesting, boring blue with a crappy opaque cannon. So waiting isn't always the best option if you decide to do so. Whether you upgrade, quotes please Mr. Editor, when these official Studio Series 86 versions come out is up to you. But one thing seems clear, Studio Series 86 is poised to continue just as the frustrating churn of the main line continues. So it may be, after a confusing start, 86 may turn out to be the line to watch over the long run for G1 collectors. Was the character in the movie? The answer to this question gives Hasbro license to release the new Seeker mold in 86, starting with Thundercracker, and it doesn't take a genius to predict we'll get a retool of this for the Coneheads, who were also in the movie and died like everyone else. But it feels like a bit of a stretch. They were background characters, and this idea that they had to be in the movie for them to get a release is starting to feel tenuous to me, and perhaps to others too, sneaking these characters in under the radar of the 86 movie. When the solution is clear to everyone, just make their presence in the movie irrelevant to whether or not they get released. Observing Hasbro sometimes feels like you're a paleontologist observing this lumbering dinosaur, slowly coming to the realization it can go wherever the hell it wants. We don't just want the G1 characters that were in the movie, we want all of the G1 cast, in this style and in this line, and you can provide that. You could have done it yesterday. And with the obvious popularity of G1 characters across all their various lines, it's a wonder why they've been umming and ahhing about it for this long. You only have to look at the waves as they pop up, take note of what sells out first. Vortex, for instance, the first of the Combaticons, is nowhere to be found at retail, while other characters in the same wave, Crasher, Alchemist Prime, this is wave 2 of the Age of the Primes, if you're keeping track of that sort of thing, are still readily available. Megatron and Grimlock for Studio Series sold out, whereas other contemporary leader class options like Nova Prime and G2 redecos of Snarl and Slag are still available. I can tell you one thing, if those versions of Snarl and Slag were simple repacks, they would be gone already, because people still want those G1 Dinobots for Studio Series. Not everyone got them. I'm not saying this is a good thing. Hasbro should be releasing characters from all the various continuities, but they are a business and will always trend towards what's selling. Transformers 1 underperformed, and there hasn't been a Bay movie for several years. This is poised to change soon, I think, with Bay having been announced to be working on a new movie. But when the media isn't churning out new iterations that hit it big, G1 becomes something of an evergreen fallback option for Hasbro, I think. So for right now, the 86 line seems set to continue and expand, with feelers being put out recently to the community about whether fans want to see characters that weren't in the movie released in 86.
But here is the question, and this is about as short as I could get it. So, do you want to see toys of characters from Season 1 and 2 of the G1 cartoon that did not appear in the 86 movie in the Studio Series 86 segment?
Yes.
Is that too weird? Is that blasphemous? Is that awesome? Yes, please, because these guys were in the world. And I'm not talking concept art like Inferno where he's literally in the credits. I'm talking about...
Well, yeah, we've had this conversation many times because obviously there are different versions of the script. There are storyboards that show different characters and with scenes that got cut. And it always turned out to be a what is okay to show in Studio Series and label it Studio Series. So that's why we're reaching out and asking all of you, like, what do you all prefer? I'm assuming they want more.
Yes. Obviously, the G1 Transformers cartoon was created by a studio, Sunbow, so they absolutely fit in that subline. It would also help with Hasbro's schizophrenic branding, put all the G1 characters in Studio Series 86 and reserve the main line for new media, newer continuities. There are those other lines within Studio Series that are supposed to be under the Studio Series banner, but are part of, this movie continuity, that movie continuity. I honestly don't know why Hasbro thinks clarity about where certain characters are going to appear is such a bad thing. Actually, I do know why that is, because it leads to people like me buying things twice. Keeping things vague makes double dipping plausibly deniable. We didn't know when we released Coronation Starscream that we were going to release a new Seeker mold in the Studio Series 86, and maybe they didn't. In fact, I think they definitely didn't, but they could have done if someone was looking at the way things are trending and planned for future releases. I've got this vision of an old black and white film with this frantic guy laying tracks in front of a train as it steams towards the camera. Probably a confused memory of a Buster Keaton clip I've seen once or twice. But you get the idea. Improvisation. It feels like improvisation.
Decepticons! We're under attack! Scramble!
Because the opportunity for that train just sort of happened and they're scrambling to keep up. Stop it. Get your ducks in order, or your lines in this case, whether they're train lines or toy lines, and start telling us what to expect. Imagine this utopia, unified lines for each and every iteration of Transformers that don't change year on year. So fans of the Bayverse know where to go, fans of the animated line know where to go, and G1 is always in the same place year on year. Forever. How blissful would that be? Until then, it's always going to be a guessing game, and yes, that's probably better for content creators like me. We get to make videos like this one, talking about the confusion involved in modern Transformers collecting, modern G1 collecting. Even the phrase doesn't make sense. It drives me nuts. But on balance, I'd rather know what the future holds for my collection, rather than rake in the millions from these YouTube videos. After all, there's only so many Hawaiian Islands I can buy. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Are you just used to this confusion with where figures are going to turn up? Why are all the combiners in the Age of the Primes? I know that's the main line, so put them there. They weren't in the movie, but if 86 were more broad, if we could have those characters within that line, wouldn't that be better than them? Take them out of the main line, put them in the 86 line, and that opens up a slot for another media iteration of Transformers in that main line for other people. Why can't we have things in the same place? Please. Why does all of this have to be so confusing? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where are my Transformers? Oh, there they are.